Ice is Mother Nature's ultimate preservation chamber. Over the years, explorers, scientists, and even everyday adventurers have stumbled across some truly amazing things locked in frozen landscapes. These discoveries, often preserved for thousands or even millions of years, range from prehistoric beasts to ancient humans, and even long-lost ships. They are not just old stuff. They've given us a remarkable glimpse into the past and often left us with more questions than answers. Here are 15 mind-blowing ice discoveries that stunned the world like today's tariffs war. Let's start off with number Quince, glacier mice. Discovered on numerous European glaciers, a peculiar ecosystem known as glacier mices has piqued scientific interest. They're not animals but moss balls, green, fuzzy, and strangely alive in one of the planet's coldest, most barren landscapes. These clumps of moss roll across ice fields, but not randomly. They move in groups, in roughly the same direction, without any visible slope or wind pushing them. That synchronized motion remains a mystery. What's more, each moss ball harbors entire micro-ecosystems, tiny invertebrates, springtails, and nematodes feeding, reproducing, and surviving on a living, rolling home. Glacier mice form slowly, usually around small stones or debris, and can live for years. Researchers studying them in Iceland's Vatnajökull Glacier found that their survival and movement patterns defied most glaciology models. They're quiet anomalies, too small for drama, too strange to ignore. In a place where almost nothing grows, they move together like a silent parade of green life, defying cold, logic, and everything we thought we knew about survival on ice. So numbers really matter. Number 14. The Andean ice mummies. High in the Andes, archaeologists uncovered the frozen bodies of Incan children left as sacrifices over 500 years ago. The most well-known is a girl named Juanita found in 1995 near the summit of Mount Amparo in Peru. Her body was remarkably preserved. Hair, skin, internal organs, and clothing all intact. She had been sedated with coca leaves and chicha before being placed in a small pit and left to die in the cold. Other mummified children have since been found in similar conditions across different peaks, all showing signs of ritual sacrifice. These were not burials of the dead but offerings of the living, children selected for their purity and sent into the mountains to appease the gods. Their preservation in the ice has made it possible to study Incan beliefs, diets, and practices in rare detail. What makes these finds especially haunting is how well their faces remain, still locked in the final moments of their lives. Number 13. The Lost Squadron. Well, this discovery is pretty famous. In 1942, a U.S. squadron flying over Greenland was forced to make an emergency landing on a glacier due to bad weather. The planes, 6 P-38 fighters and 2 B-17 bombers were left behind after the crews were rescued. Over time, the aircraft were buried by ice and lost. For decades, they were considered unrecoverable. Then, in 1992, search teams using radar located one of the planes, a P-38 nicknamed Glacier Girl, under 268 feet of ice. It was recovered through a custom-built tunnel, lifted out in pieces, and eventually restored to flying condition. It flew again in 2002. The rest of the squadron remains under the glacier, still frozen in place. The recovery effort showed just how quickly nature can bury even large machines and how difficult it is to pull them back. The fact that the aircraft survived at all speaks to how ice can act as both a grave and a vault, sealing history away layer by layer. Number 12. Frozen fossils. Well, dinosaurs and Antarctica don't usually appear in the same sentence, but that's only because we haven't been looking long enough. As the continent's ice sheets slowly retreat, paleontologists have uncovered fossils that tell a very different story about its past. Not bones buried in mud, bones entombed in permafrost, rock-hard and prehistoric. The remains of marine reptiles like plesiosaurs and mosasaurs have been pulled from icy cliffs, relics from a time when this now frozen world was a temperate swamp teeming with life. Some specimens date back over 70 million years, preserved by sediment, snow, and time. These aren't random finds, they're shifting the entire narrative of Earth's climate history. Antarctica once sat closer to the equator, home to lush forests and towering reptiles. Now it's a frozen tomb. But with every melt and every dig, it gives back pieces of that lost world, evidence of ancient ecosystems buried beneath ice thick enough to crush steel. And we're only scratching the surface. Number 11. The Siberian steppe bison. In 2011, researchers in Siberia discovered the frozen remains of a 9,000-year-old steppe bison. Nicknamed Blue Babe for the bluish tint in its skin caused by mineral exposure, the animal was well preserved, skin, tissue, and even some internal organs intact. It had likely died after being attacked by predators, possibly cave lions, before being quickly buried and frozen in permafrost. The state of preservation gave scientists the chance to examine Ice Age biology in rare detail. Muscle samples were taken, and parts of the bison were even dissected for cellular study. While the bison wasn't the first of its kind to be found, its condition made it one of the most valuable for research. Blue Babe is now kept at the University of Alaska Museum. Its discovery isn't about spectacle, it's about what ice can hold and how long it can keep something in place without decay. This bison was lost for thousands of years, but time barely touched it. Number D's. Iron Age sandal. In a narrow mountain pass in central Norway, archaeologists came across a single leather sandal that had been buried under ice for more than 1,700 years. It wasn't part of a ceremonial find or a hoard, it was a shoe, dropped or discarded during someone's journey across what was once a heavily traveled route. The style matched Roman-era sandals, though the location was far from any Roman outpost. The presence of the sandal suggests that during the Iron Age, this route through the mountains saw enough foot traffic that even lost footwear made its way into the ice. What's more, the find tells us about how drastically the climate has shifted. The path where the sandal was discovered is now far colder, covered in ice that likely wasn't there when the traveler passed through. It's not the sandal itself that made headlines, it's what it quietly confirmed. That centuries ago people walked these trails, and today the ice is finally returning what they left behind. Number 9. Bronze Age bow. In Switzerland's Schneidach Pass, a wooden hunting bow emerged from melting ice. Radiocarbon dated to around 1000 BCE, this late Bronze Age artifact is one of the oldest wooden weapons found in the Alps. Carved from yew, a wood still favored by archers thousands of years later, the bow was likely part of a traveling hunter's kit. Its survival is rare. Wood typically decomposes, especially over millennia. But the cold preserved it, tucked away in permafrost until warming trends revealed it. What it shows is simple. People moved through this terrain long before paved roads, ski lifts, or borders, and they carried tools meant for survival. This wasn't ceremonial, it was practical. Something dropped or lost while navigating dangerous ground. The craftsmanship is detailed, and the shape is still recognizable. The bow now rests in a Swiss collection, studied not for its decoration but for the human moment it captures. Someone crossed the Alps 3,000 years ago and left behind a trace. That trace now has a name. Number 8. Frozen microorganisms. Deep inside ice cores taken from European mountain glaciers, scientists found organisms no one expected to survive. Frozen for thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of years, these ancient microbes, viruses, and bacteria had not only endured the deep freeze, but in some cases, revived once thawed in controlled lab conditions. These aren't just frozen cells, they are living records of ancient biological systems. Their genetics show adaptations to past climates and environments long lost to time. What makes them especially important is their ability to help us trace microbial evolution, and their resilience raises uncomfortable questions. What else might be preserved in melting ice? Some organisms date back to periods with totally different ecosystems, and studying them gives researchers a clearer idea of how biology responded to previous warming cycles. This isn't about science fiction, It's about memory, survival, and biology that never got the message that time had passed. What was buried didn't decay, it waited dormant until the ice broke first. Number 7. Sled lash tong. Tools. When archaeologists first pulled oddly shaped wooden tools from melting ice in Norway's high country, the immediate theory was wild, giant slingshots, maybe weapons. Each piece was over a meter long, knife-carved, and shaped to grip. They dated to around AD 400. The mystery ended when a local researcher recognized them. They were tong wooden clamps used to tie down hay and leaves on sleds for animal feed. These weren't weapons. They were tools made for hauling necessities across snowbound terrain before wheels and machines could take over. Farmers and travelers used them well into the 20th century until tractors made the method obsolete. Finding them on the ice confirmed how long this practice lasted and how essential it was to survival in remote regions. The tools hadn't been discarded. They were likely lost during a journey, buried by snow, then sealed in ice. Today they remind us that daily survival once meant navigating mountains with hay, sleds, and a grip strong enough to hold through winter. Number 6. Cave lion cub. In Siberia's frozen ground, a cave lion cub was pulled from the permafrost with its fur, skin, claws, and internal organs still intact. The estimated age? About 28,000 years. This wasn't just a fossil. It was a preserved animal that still had muscle tone, visible whiskers, and soft tissue preserved at a level almost never seen in large mammals. The cub was likely just a few weeks old when it died, possibly in a landslide or sudden cold snap that buried it instantly. What followed was 2 ice ages and millennia of deep freeze. Researchers conducted an autopsy that allowed them to study its diet, DNA, and even possible species variants, as cave lions were slightly different from modern lions. For scientists, the find wasn't just about one animal, it was a window into Ice Age ecosystems, hunting behavior, and extinction timelines. Today, the cub is held by the Sakha Republic's Academy of Sciences. Its presence on the ice proves that some stories don't fade, they just stop moving. Number 5. Pair of Iron Age skis. A single ski surfaced from the Degervarden ice patch in Norway's Reinheimen National Park in 2014. At first, it looked like another isolated artifact. Then 7 years later, its partner appeared just a few meters away, still intact, still wearing its original bindings. Both are made of wood and date back nearly 1,300 years. Together, they now stand as one of the only known complete ski sets from the Iron Age. What makes the find rare isn't just the preservation, it's the story implied. Someone crossed that patch of ice and didn't make it out with their gear. Whether they fell, froze, or abandoned the skis remains unknown. But the presence of both pieces, uncovered years apart, reaffirms how the ice conceals moments, not just objects. When placed side by side, the skis match in wear, in style, and in silence. They're now being studied as part of a broader look into winter survival and travel in Norway's mountain regions before roads or rescue. Number 4. Medieval walking stick. Inscribed with runes and dated to around 1,000 years ago, a wooden walking stick emerged from Lenbreen's shifting ice. On it, carved in steady strokes, are the words "owned by Jor." That's all. No date, no prayer, no decoration, just a name. Whoever Jor was, he passed through the same snow and wind that now yields his belongings. The stick isn't ornate. It was functional. A tool for climbing, balancing, and likely fighting off the cold with every step. That it was left behind or lost suggests Jor made it through without it. Or didn't. The preservation is remarkable, but so is the simplicity. This was a possession marked not for beauty or bragging rights, but for identity. Today it sits in a museum, still carrying Jor's name through time. Most things that people carried up into the ice were forgotten. This one didn't just survive the weather, it survived the centuries. A traveler carved his name into a stick, and now it speaks louder than ever. Number 3. Norse sledge. Near the site where two Iron Age skis were uncovered, archaeologists found the fractured remains of a wooden sledge, likely 1,300 years old. It had been built for winter hauling, designed to slide over snow, pulled by hand or pack animal. The size, material, and construction all point to a Norse origin during the late Iron Age. It wasn't ceremonial or decorative, it was transport, a thing made for necessity, not display. What stands out isn't that it was found, but where. High up in mountain passes where few would travel lightly. The sledge likely carried supplies, maybe food, tools, or furs, across treacherous terrain. Whoever used it risked winter crossings when snow could seal you in for months. The sledge didn't fall apart. It froze, locked in place after one final trip. Finds like this confirm what's long been suspected. Mountain crossings in early Scandinavia weren't occasional. They were routine, and the people making them relied on every piece of wood they could pull. Number 2. Prehistoric pollen and seeds. Inside the deep ice cores drilled from glaciers in the Alps, researchers have uncovered pollen and seeds trapped for thousands of years. These aren't just particles. They are botanical timestamps, evidence of what once grew in a landscape now buried under meters of frozen rock and ice. Some seeds belong to species that no longer exist in the region, while others hint at climatic conditions that no one thought extended that far north. The pollen granules are microscopic but crucial. By analyzing their structure and layering, scientists can reconstruct entire ecological timelines, what plants flourished, when seasons changed, and when farming may have started nearby. A few of the seeds still show signs of biological viability, though no one is rushing to sprout them just yet. For now, they sit under microscopes in cold labs, slowly giving up their information. They weren't meant to be found. They were swept into snow by wind or animals long before human history began, but they've waited long enough. Number 1. The Greenland shark. Greenland sharks live in some of the coldest waters on Earth. Found mostly in the Arctic and North Atlantic, they move slowly, rarely surface, and can grow longer than 20 feet. What sets them apart isn't just their size but their age. One specimen caught in 2016 was estimated to be over 400 years old, making it one of the longest living vertebrates ever recorded. They grow very slowly, just a few centimeters per year, and spend most of their time deep underwater where the temperature barely rises above freezing. Their flesh is toxic if eaten raw. Their eyes are often home to parasitic worms, and their movements are minimal. But they've been around for centuries, swimming through cold, dark waters while entire human eras came and went above them. They're not extinct. They're still out there, quiet, slow, and unchanged. These sharks are reminders that some forms of life don't rush, don't evolve quickly, and don't disappear easily. They just keep going. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon in the next one.